Please don't give up." The words tore from Liam's throat as he slid down the ravine, 17 years old and homeless, watching a man die in the snow. Blood steamed against white drifts. A Harley's wheel spun uselessly, and the leather cut on the dying man's back read "Hellsangels President" in patches that should have made Liam run. Instead, he was begging a stranger to live. "Kid," the man rasped, pale eyes finding his through the dark. "You should have kept walking." "Yeah, well, I'm stupid like that." Liam's frozen hands fumbled for the phone in the man's vest. "Who do I call? Who comes for you?" "Everyone," the president whispered. "Call Tank. Tell him winter's coming early. Then get ready because you just saved the wrong man's life." Liam's hands were shaking so hard he almost couldn't grip the guardrail. Not from the cold, though God knew the Montana blizzard was trying to kill him. No, this was pure animal fear, the kind that comes when you realize you're about to do something monumentally stupid and you can't seem to stop yourself. The skid marks behind him told a violent story. Black rubber streaked across both lanes, carved a desperate arc toward the shoulder, then punched through the metal barrier like it was made of aluminum foil. 20 feet down in the ravine, a man was dying. Liam could hear him breathing from up here, each breath a wet, rattling sound that made his stomach turn. "Hey!" Liam shouted into the wind. "Can you hear me?" The breathing stopped. For a horrible second, Liam thought that was it. Thought the man had just given up and let go. Then a voice came back so quiet, Liam almost missed it under the wind. "Sarah." Liam's throat tightened. He knew that tone, the way hope and grief could tangle together in a single word. He had used that same voice 3 years ago when he woke up in the hospital after his mother's boyfriend put him through a glass door asking for his mom, still stupid enough to think she might actually show up. She hadn't. "Not Sarah," Liam called back. "Just someone who heard you crash. I'm calling 911. He pulled out his phone. The screen lit up his face in the dark, no service. Of course. Middle of nowhere Christmas Eve blizzard coming down like God was trying to bury the whole state. He was 17 years old, weighed maybe 140 pounds, soaking wet, and he was about to climb down into a ravine to help a stranger who probably outweighed him by 100 pounds. His foster father's voice echoed in his head, bourbon-soaked and mean. "You're worthless, boy. Only thing you're good for is taking up space and eating food you didn't earn." Liam grabbed the guardrail tighter. "I'm coming down," he yelled. "Don't die before I get there." A weak laugh floated up. "No promises, kid." Liam swung his legs over the barrier. The drop looked worse from this angle, steep and dark, nothing but snow and rock and shadows. His sneakers were already soaked through. His jacket was a joke, some thin thrift store thing that barely kept out September wind, let alone December cold. He had $8 in his pocket, a backpack with 2 shirts, and a photo of his little half-brother, and absolutely no business trying to save anyone. He jumped anyway. The hill swallowed him. His feet went out from under him immediately, and then he was sliding, tumbling, grabbing at frozen bushes that snapped in his hands like matchsticks. Something sharp caught his cheek. His shoulder slammed into a rock. For a second, the world was just white and black and pain, and then he crashed into something solid and stopped. The Harley. Up close, the damage was catastrophic. The front end was accordioned, the handlebars twisted into abstract art fluids leaking into the snow in a dark, spreading stain. And underneath it, pinned from the thigh down, was the biggest man Liam had ever seen. Not fat. Big. Broad-shouldered, thick-armed, with a gray-streaked beard, and a face that looked like it had been in 100 fights, and won most of them. He wore a leather vest covered in patches, And even in the dark, Liam could read the words across the top, Hell's Angels. Across the bottom, Montana. And in the center, bigger than the rest, President. Liam's blood went cold in a way that had nothing to do with the weather. "Oh, hell," he whispered. The man's eyes cracked open. They were pale blue, sharp, even through the pain. "You cuss like a church kid," he rasped. "I am a church kid," Liam shot back without thinking. "Foster care shuffles you through every denomination eventually." "Foster care." The man said it like he was tasting something bitter. "How old?" 17. "How crushed is your leg?" "Feels like someone put it in a vise and turned it till the bones kissed. But I can wiggle my toes, so that's something." He coughed, and blood flecked his lips. "Name's Axel. Axel Kane. Most people call me Reaper." "That's supposed to make me feel better about this situation." "No." Axel's mouth twitched. "That a real smile, or are you going into shock?" "Both." Liam knelt in the snow beside him, ignoring the way his knees immediately went numb. "Phone's dead. No service. You got one? Inside pocket, left side." Liam reached into the leather vest fingers, clumsy with cold. The vest was warm from body heat, soaked with blood on one side. He found the phone and pulled it out. The screen was cracked, but functional, and miracle of miracles, it had 2 bars of service. "Who do I call?" Liam asked. 911 first, Axel said. His breathing was getting worse, shallower. "Then, there's a contact, Tank. Tell him Winter's coming early. He'll understand." "That's the worst code phrase I've ever heard." "Kid, if you live long enough to hear better ones, count yourself lucky." Liam dialed 911. The line rang, and rang, and rang. Finally, a dispatcher picked up. 911, what's your emergency? Motorcycle accident on Highway 287, about 15 miles outside Bozeman. Single vehicle driver trapped. He's bleeding and... The line crackled. "Hello? Can you hear me?" More static. Then nothing. "Call dropped," Liam said. His hands were shaking again. "Service is barely there. They might not have gotten the location." "Then call Tank," Axel said. His voice was fading. "Speed dial 3. Liam found the contact and pressed call. It rang once. "Reaper!" The voice on the other end was deep, rough, immediately alert, despite the late hour. "Where are you?" "This isn't Reaper," Liam said quickly. "My name's Liam. I found him in a ravine off 287. His bike went through the guardrail. He's pinned and losing blood. I called 911, but the line dropped." Silence. Then, "Put him on." "He can barely talk." "I said put him on." Liam held the phone to Axel's ear. "It's Tank." Axel's eyes focused with visible effort. "Winter's coming early," he rasped. Then his eyes found Liam again, sharp despite the pain. "Kid's name is Liam. Liam Bennett." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long Liam thought the call had dropped again. When Tank spoke again, his voice had changed. Gone quiet and dangerous. "Bennett. You sure? Dead sure. How old is he? 17. Another pause. "We're coming. 20 minutes. Keep him warm. Keep him awake. Don't let him close his eyes." The line went dead. Liam stared at the phone. "Why did your friend sound like my last name just ruined his night?" "Because it did," Axel said. He was smiling, though, or trying to. "You got siblings, Liam Bennett." "Half-brother, Jake. He's 9. Lives with his dad in Spokane." "Why, your father. What was his name?" Liam's jaw tightened. "David. David Bennett. Died in a car crash when I was 2. Never met him." Axel closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet. "I knew your father," he said quietly. "He saved my life." The world tilted sideways. What? 15 years ago. Cartel ambush outside Billings. 4 guys with automatic weapons caught us in a warehouse, pinned us down. We were dead. Then this Fed comes through the door like he's bulletproof, takes out 2 of them before they even know he's there, gives us time to fight back. Took a bullet in the process. Nearly died. Liam's hands had gone numb. You're lying. Kid, I'm dying. I don't have the energy to lie. Axel coughed again, harder this time. Your father was ATF. Deep cover. He saved us, then he disappeared. We tried to find him, tried to repay the debt, but he was gone. Witness protection, we figured. And now here you are. That's insane. That's destiny. Axel's hand moved slow and painful until it found Liam's wrist. His grip was weak, but deliberate. My daughter's name was Sarah. She was 17 when she died. 5 years ago. Drunk driver T-boned her at an intersection. She was 2 weeks from graduation. Liam's throat closed up. When I saw you up on that highway, Axel continued, when you called down, for a second I thought... He trailed off. I'm not a good man, Liam. I've done things that would keep you up at night. But I loved my daughter. And I owe your father everything. So if you're asking why Tank sounded like your name changed his world, that's why. Because the club's been looking for David Bennett's family for 15 years. And you just fell out of the sky on the worst night of my life. Or the best, Liam heard himself say. Axel's laugh was broken and wet. Yeah, maybe that too. That was when Liam saw the brake fluid. It was pooling in the snow near the front wheel, dark and slick. Too much of it. Brake lines didn't just rupture in a crash, not like this. He had worked in enough auto shops during foster placements to know what a severed line looked like versus a broken one. This was clean. Deliberate. Someone cut your brake line, Liam said. Axel's expression didn't change. I know. You know. Then why? Because I'm the president of the largest MC chapter in Montana, Axel said quietly. Which means I have enemies. Which means someone wanted me dead tonight. And which means you, kid, just stepped into a war you don't understand. Then tell me. Not enough time. Axel's breathing was getting worse, each inhale a struggle. But when Tank gets here, when the boys arrive, you don't run. You hear me? You stay close. You tell them everything you saw. And you let them protect you. Why would I need protection? Because whoever cut my line knows I went off this road. And when they find out I survived, when they find out someone helped me, they're going to come looking. His grip tightened. Your father saved me once. I'm not letting his son die because he was too stupid to walk away from a stranger. Too stupid or too stubborn? Same thing. Liam shrugged off his backpack. Inside were his last 2 shirts. Both thin cotton things that wouldn't keep anyone warm. He pulled them out anyway and pressed them against the worst of Axel's wounds, applying pressure the way he'd seen in a first aid video at school 3 years ago. What are you doing? Axel asked. Keeping you alive until your friends get here. Liam's teeth were chattering now, his core temperature dropping fast. You can repay your debt by not dying on me. Deal. Kid, you're freezing. Yeah, well, you're bleeding. I think you've got bigger problems. Axel stared at him for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. A real laugh, deep and genuine, despite the pain. You got your father's mouth, he said. He used to talk back to me like that. Drove me crazy. Good. Means I'm doing it right. That was when they heard the engines. At first, Liam thought it was thunder. Then the sound separated into distinct rumbles, deep and mechanical, and growing louder by the second. He looked up at the highway and saw lights cresting the hill, dozens of them, a river of headlights flowing through the darks. That them? Liam asked. That's them. How many? All of them. The bikes arrived like an avalanche. They lined the shoulder in a perfect formation headlights, aimed down into the ravine, turning the crash site into a stage. Engines cut one by one until the only sound was wind and the distant wail of sirens. Men poured over the guardrail. Liam counted 20, then 30, then stopped counting. They moved with purpose, some sliding down the slope with practiced ease, others already pulling medical kits from their saddlebags. They all wore the same cut, the same patches, and they all moved like soldiers. The first one to reach them was massive. 6'4", at least, arms like tree trunks with dark skin and eyes that scanned the scene in 2 seconds flat. His patch read VP above his name, Tank. "Reaper," Tank said. Not a question, a confirmation. "Still here," Axel rasped. Tank's gaze swung to Liam. "You Liam Bennett. Yeah. You know who your father was. I'm learning." Tank nodded once, then dropped to his knees beside Axel. "Doc's coming down. Ambulance is 3 minutes out. You hold on, brother. You hear me? Hard not to when you're yelling." Another man arrived, older, with silver hair and a patch that read Doctor. He carried a proper medical kit and moved with calm efficiency, checking Axel's vitals, assessing the leg barking orders to the others. "We need to get this bike off him before we move him," Doc said. "Carefully. If there's internal bleeding in that leg and we shift wrong, he could bleed out." Tank looked at Liam. "You move it already. Lifted it enough for him to pull his leg free," Liam said. "Was that wrong? Saved his life, more like." Tank stood. "All right. 4 of us on the bike. Smooth and steady. Reaper, you tell us if something feels wrong." They positioned themselves around the Harley. Liam watched as 4 men who looked like they could bench press cars gripped the frame and lifted in perfect unison. The bike rose. Doc slid in, supporting Axel's leg as it came free, checking for additional damage. "Compound fracture," Doc announced. "But the bone didn't sever the artery. He's lucky." "Lucky," Axel muttered. "That's one word for it." Red and blue lights washed over the ravine as the ambulance arrived up top. Paramedics descended with a stretcher, moving fast but controlled. They strapped Axel down, started an IV, fitted an oxygen mask over his face. Tank gripped Axel's shoulder. "We'll follow you in. All of us." Axel's hand shot out, grabbed Liam's sleeve. Through the oxygen mask, his voice was muffled but clear. "Don't leave him alone." Tank's eyes found Liam again. "He's coming with us." They carried Axel up the slope. Liam stood in the ravine, suddenly aware that he was surrounded by 30 bikers in full colors, all of them watching him with expressions he couldn't read. His instinct screamed at him to run, but his legs wouldn't move. Tank walked back down. "You hurt? Just cold. You got somewhere to go tonight?" The question hit harder than it should have. Liam thought about the bridge underpass in Bozeman, where he'd slept the last 3 nights, the shelter that was full by 6 p.m., the 24-hour diner that let him sit in a booth until morning if he ordered coffee. "No," he said. Tank nodded like he'd expected that answer. "Then you're with us. Hospital first, then we figure out the rest." "I don't need charity." "Good, because I'm not offering it." Tank's voice was flat. "Your father saved our president's life 15 years ago. We've owed him a debt ever since. You just saved that same man's life tonight. That makes you family, kid, whether you like it or not. I don't even know you. No, but we know you. We know what your father did for us. We know he died protecting his family from the blowback. And we know you just spent the last 20 minutes keeping Reaper alive in a blizzard when you could have walked away." Tank held out a hand. "Come on, let's get you warm before you freeze to death." Liam stared at the offered hand. Calloused, scarred, steady. He took it. Tank pulled him up the slope with one arm like he weighed nothing. At the top, someone pressed a leather jacket into Liam's hands, heavy and warm, and smelling like motor oil and cigarettes. Someone else handed him a helmet. "You ever been on a bike?" Tank asked. "No." "You're about to learn. Stay loose, lean with me. Don't fight the movement. Got it?" "Got it." Tank swung onto a matte black road. King kicked the engine to life. The rumble went through Liam's chest like a heartbeat. He climbed on behind Tank, wrapped his arms around a waist that felt like concrete. The convoy formed around them. Liam counted the lights in his peripheral vision, 50, 60, 70 bikes. Maybe more. They rolled onto the highway in perfect formation. Engines synchronized a thunder that made the ground shake. For the first time in 3 years since the night he ran away from his last foster home, with nothing but a backpack and broken ribs, Liam didn't feel alone. He felt terrified. He felt overwhelmed. He felt like he'd just jumped off a cliff and didn't know where he'd land. But he didn't feel alone. The hospital appeared ahead, lit up against the dark like a lighthouse. The convoy pulled into the parking lot, and every single bike found a spot lined up with military precision. Engines cut. The sudden silence was deafening. Tank dismounted. "Stay close. Answer their questions. Don't lie about anything. We've got lawyers if it comes to that." "Am I in trouble?" "Not from us. Maybe from whoever cut Reaper's brake line if they figure out you're a witness. But that's why you're not leaving our sight." Tank jerked his chin toward the entrance. "Let's move." They walked into the ER like an invasion. Nurses looked up, eyes wide. Security guards tensed. The receptionist's face went pale. Tank approached the desk. "Axel Kane. They just brought him in. Motorcycle accident. Where is he?" "Sir, I can't." "Yes, you can." Tank's voice never rose, but something in it made the woman's objection die mid-sentence. "We're not here to cause trouble. We're here for our brother. Now tell me where he is." She swallowed. "Trauma Bay 3, but only family." "He's family," Tank said, nodding at Liam. "Father saved Axel's life. Kid just did it again. He gets in." The receptionist looked at Liam, took in his soaked clothes, his split cheek, the way he was shivering, despite the jacket someone had draped over him. "Room 7, she said quietly. "Down the hall, second left. But only him." Tank put a hand on Liam's shoulder. "Go. We'll be right here." Liam walked down the hall on legs that felt like they belonged to someone else. Every step echoed. Every breath tasted like antiseptic and fear. He found room 7, pushed open the door. Axel lay on the gurney, tubes and wires running everywhere. His eyes were closed. For a horrible second, Liam thought he was too late. Then Axel's eyes opened. "You came," he rasped. "Yeah, well, you told me not to leave you alone." Liam moved closer, stood beside the bed. "They say you're going to make it. Doctors think so. I'm not convinced." Axel's hand moved, found Liam's. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not walking away. For being your father's son. For giving an old man hope that maybe he's not as damned as he thought." Liam's throat tightened. "I didn't do it for you." "I know. You did it because it was right. That's better." Axel's grip tightened. "Listen to me. The men outside, they're going to offer you things. A place to stay. Work. Protection. You don't have to take any of it. Your debt is paid, kid. You saved my life. We're even." "Doesn't feel even. It never does." Axel's eyes drifted closed, then forced themselves open again. "But if you walk out that door, and I never see you again, that's fine. You owe me nothing. You owe us nothing. You're free. You understand?" Liam looked down at their joined hands. Axel's knuckles were scarred, the skin rough. His own were smooth, unmarked, the hands of someone who hadn't lived enough yet to earn calluses. "What if I don't want to walk away?" Liam heard himself ask. Axel's eyes sharpened. "Then you need to understand what you're choosing. This life, this club, it's not a charity case. It's not a foster home that gets paid to take you in. It's blood and brotherhood and consequences. You take our protection, you take our name, then you're part of what we are. Good and bad, light and shadow, all of it. I don't have anywhere else to go." "That's not a good enough reason." "Then how about this?" Liam said, surprised by the steadiness in his own voice. "I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being nobody. I'm tired of waking up every morning wondering if today's the day I freeze to death or get jumped or just disappear and nobody notices. You said your daughter was 17 when you lost her. I'm 17 right now, and I'm telling you I've already been dead for 3 years. I just kept breathing anyway." Axel stared at him. Then slowly he smiled. "Your father would be proud of you. He'd also kick my ass for letting you make this choice." Axel squeezed his hand one more time, then let go. "Go talk to Tank. Tell him I said you stay. He'll handle the rest." Liam nodded, turned toward the door. "Liam." He looked back. "Welcome home, kid." The words hit him like a punch. Not the violent kind. The kind that knocks something loose inside you that's been stuck for so long you forgot it was there. Liam walked back into the waiting room. Tank stood immediately. "He's alive," Liam said. "He told me to talk to you." Tank nodded. "Let's go outside." They walked through the automatic doors into the cold. The parking lot was full of bikes and men, a wall of leather and chrome under the sodium lights. Snow fell softly now, the blizzard easing into something almost peaceful. Tank leaned against his bike. "Reaper told you to stay, didn't he? How did you?" "Because I know him, and I know what you did tonight meant something." Tank crossed his arms. "So here's how this works. You want in, you're in. We find you a place to stay. We find you work. We make sure you finish school. We teach you how to ride. We protect you from whoever cut Reaper's brake line and anyone else stupid enough to think you're an easy target. And what do you want from me? Loyalty. Honesty. To not be the kind of person who takes what we give and spits in our face." Tank's eyes were hard, but not unkind. "And eventually, if you prove yourself, if you show us you're serious, maybe you earn a patch. Maybe you become a prospect. Maybe one day you're a brother. But that's years down the road, kid. Right now you're just Liam Bennett, son of the man who saved our president, and the kid who did it again. That's enough." Liam looked at the bikes, the men, the world he was about to step into. "Okay," he said. "I'm in." Tank's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes softened. "All right then, let's get you fed. You look like you haven't eaten in a week." 3 days. Jesus. Tank shook his head. "Come on." As they walked toward Tank's bike, one of the other members approached. Young, maybe mid-20s, with nervous eyes. "Tank," he said quietly. "We found something on Reaper's bike." "What?" The kid held out a small device no bigger than a matchbox. "GPS tracker. Magnetic mount stuck under the rear fender. Professional grade." The temperature in the parking lot seemed to drop 10 degrees. Tank took the device, turned it over in his hands. "Someone was following him?" "More than that," the kid said. "Someone wanted to know exactly where he'd be when his brakes failed." Liam's stomach turned to ice. Tank looked at him. "You see any other vehicles at the crash site?" "Before we got there." Liam's mind flashed back. "Yeah, black SUV, no front plate, rolled past slow like they were checking on something. I thought they were going to stop, but they just drove off." "They were making sure he was dead," Tank said quietly. His jaw clenched. Which means they saw you. What does that mean? Tank met his eyes. It means you're not just a witness, kid. You're a loose end. And whoever tried to kill Reaper tonight doesn't leave loose ends. The diner smelled like burnt coffee and old grease, but to Liam it might as well have been a 5-star restaurant. He sat in a corner booth with Tank across from him, a plate of eggs and hash browns cooling in front of him, while his hands shook too hard to hold the fork properly. "Eat," Tank said. It wasn't a suggestion. Liam forced down a bite. His stomach cramped immediately, 3 days of nothing making it rebel against actual food. He kept eating anyway. Tank's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, jaw tightening. "Black SUV registered to a shell company. Traces back to Marcus Vega," and the name meant nothing to Liam. "Who's that?" "President of the Iron Cross MC. Used to be Reaper's best friend back before things went to hell." Tank set the phone down. "They grew up together, built the club together. Then Marcus's brother got killed in a bar fight with some of our guys, and Marcus decided we were responsible. Been trying to take us down ever since. So he cut the brake line. That's the theory." Tank leaned back. "But Marcus isn't stupid. He wouldn't do it himself, and he sure as hell wouldn't make it obvious. He'd hire it out, keep his hands clean, make sure it looked like an accident. Except I saw his people at the crash site. Which means they screwed up, which means Marcus is going to be pissed, which means he's going to want to fix his mistake." Tank's eyes locked on Liam. "And you're the mistake, kid." The eggs turned to ash in Liam's mouth. "So what do? We keep you alive long enough to figure out our next move." Tank flagged down the waitress, a tired woman with kind eyes, who refilled his coffee without being asked. "You got any money?" $8. "Family you can call. Half-brother in Spokane, but he's 9 and lives with his dad. They don't want me around." "Friends?" Liam just looked at him. Tank nodded slowly. "Yeah, I figured." He pulled out his wallet, dropped 3 20s on the table. "Pay the bill. Keep the change. Consider it the first installment on what we owe your father." "I don't want charity." "Then earn it. We're putting you to work." Tank stood. "Come on, we've got a stop to make." They rode through Bozeman in the dark, the streets empty, except for a few drunks stumbling home from bars. Liam held on to Tank's waist, the vibration of the engine working its way into his bones. He'd never been on a motorcycle before tonight, and some small part of his brain was screaming that this was insane, that he should run, that nothing good came from getting tangled up with men who wore their crimes like badges. But another part, the part that had kept him alive through 3 years on the street, whispered something different. These men had shown up for one of their own. They hadn't asked questions. They hadn't hesitated. They'd just come, all of them, a wall of leather and loyalty that Liam had never seen before. Tank pulled into the parking lot of a run-down motel. The sign flickered Mountain View Inn. The only mountain in view was a pile of plowed snow in the corner of the lot. "Room's already paid for," Tank said as they dismounted. "1 week. After that we figure out something more permanent." "You did this before you even met me." "We did this the second Reaper said your last name." Tank handed him a key. "Room 12, 2nd floor. Stay inside. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me or someone I send." "How will I know if you sent them?" Tank pulled something from his pocket. A small silver coin, worn smooth. He pressed it into Liam's palm. "Club challenge coin. Anyone who knocks on that door better have one of these, or you don't open up." "Got it." Liam closed his fist around the coin. It was warm from Tank's pocket, heavy for its size. "Got it. I'll be back in the morning. 8 o'clock. We're going to the shop, get you set up with work." Tank paused. "You know anything about motorcycles?" "I worked at an auto shop for 6 months during a foster placement. Got fired when they found out I was sleeping in the back office." "You're not getting fired this time." Tank swung back onto his bike. "Get some sleep, kid. Tomorrow's going to be a long day." The engine roared to life, and he was gone, taillights disappearing into the dark. Liam stood in the parking lot for a long moment, key in one hand, challenge coin in the other, feeling like he'd just stepped through a door he couldn't close again. Room 12 was exactly what he expected, peeling wallpaper-stained carpet, a bed that sagged in the middle. But it had heat, and a shower, and a lock. Liam dropped his backpack on the bed and just stood there staring at the room. He'd slept in alleys, under bridges, in abandoned buildings where the wind came through holes in the walls. This place was a palace by comparison. He stripped off his wet clothes and stood under the shower until the water ran cold, watching 3 days of dirt and blood and snow circle the drain. His reflection in the mirror afterward looked like a stranger, too thin cheekbones, sharp eyes older than 17 had any right to be. The cut on his face from sliding down the ravine had stopped bleeding but needed cleaning. He used toilet paper and soap, wincing as it stung. His shoulder was bruised purple where he'd hit the rock. His hands were scraped raw. Small prices for saving a life. He wrapped himself in the thin motel towel and sat on the edge of the bed. His phone was dead. No charger. Even if he had one, who would he call? His caseworker had stopped answering after he ran. His half-brother's father had made it clear Liam wasn't welcome. His mother was God knew where, probably high, definitely not interested in her eldest son's problems. For the first time in 3 years, Liam felt the full weight of how alone he really was. Then his fingers found the challenge coin Tank had given him. Not alone. Not anymore. He lay back on the bed, fully intending to stay awake, to keep watch, to be ready for whatever came next. His eyes closed just for a second. The pounding on the door jolted him awake. Sunlight streamed through the curtains. He'd slept through the night, dead to the world, and now someone was trying to break down the door. "Liam Bennett." The voice was rough, unfamiliar. "Open up." Liam's heart slammed against his ribs. He grabbed his jeans, pulled them on, looked around for anything he could use as a weapon. Nothing. The lamp was bolted down. The TV was too heavy to lift. "I said open up! Show me your coin!" Liam shouted back. Silence. Then, "What coin?" Liam's blood went cold. "The club coin. If Tank sent you, you've got one." Another pause. "Look, kid, I don't have time for games. Marcus wants to talk to you." Marcus. The man who'd tried to kill Reaper. Liam backed toward the bathroom, eyes locked on the door. The handle rattled. Someone was picking the lock. "You've got 5 seconds to get away from that door," Liam said, trying to keep his voice steady. "After that, I'm calling the cops." "You call the cops, kid, and you're signing your own death warrant. Marcus just wants to talk." The lock clicked. The door swung open. 2 men stepped inside. Big guys, leather cuts, patches that read Iron Cross MC. The first one smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "There he is, the hero who saved the big bad Reaper." He took a step forward. "You've caused us a lot of trouble, you know that." Liam's back hit the bathroom door frame. "I didn't cause anything. I just helped someone who was hurt." "Yeah, and that someone was supposed to die on that highway. You complicated things." The second man moved to block the exit. He was younger, maybe early 20s, with a nervous energy that made him more dangerous than the older one. His hand kept drifting to his belt, where something bulged under his jacket. "Look," Liam said, fighting to keep his voice from shaking. "I don't know anything. I don't know about club politics or whatever war you've got going. I'm just a homeless kid who made a phone call." "Just a homeless kid," the first man repeated, with David Bennett's blood in his veins. "You know what your daddy did to our club 15 years ago?" "I never met my father." "Lucky you. Because your daddy helped Reaper destroy a deal that would have set us up for life. $3 million in weapons gone because some ATF agent decided to play hero. He stepped closer. Marcus has been waiting a long time to settle that score. And now here you are, gift-wrapped and stupid. Liam's mind raced. The bathroom had a tiny window, too small to climb through. The door behind the two men was his only way out, but they blocked it completely. Marcus is downstairs, the first man continued. Room 3. You're going to walk down there with us nice and quiet, and you're going to have a conversation. Maybe you walk away from it, maybe you don't, but either way you're coming with us. No, Liam said. The man's smile vanished. That wasn't a request. The younger one pulled a knife from his belt. Not big, but sharp, the blade catching the morning light. We can do this easy or hard, he said. Your choice. Liam's eyes darted between them, calculating odds he didn't like. Two grown men, both armed, both trained, him 17 skinny, exhausted with nothing but desperation. His hand closed around the motel phone on the nightstand. I said I'm not going anywhere with you, Liam repeated, and threw the phone at the younger one's face. It connected with a satisfying crack. The kid stumbled back, hand flying to his nose. Blood poured between his fingers. Liam didn't wait. He launched himself at the older man, low and fast, aiming for the knees. They went down together in a tangle of limbs. Liam's fist connected with something soft. The man grunted, threw an elbow that caught Liam in the temple. Stars exploded across his vision. He rolled away, tried to get to his feet, slipped on the carpet. The knife flashed. Liam felt a line of fire across his forearm. Blood welled up hot and immediate. He scrambled backward, hit the bed, had nowhere left to go. The older man stood, straightened his cut fury written across his face. You just made the hard choice, kid. The door exploded inward. Tank came through like a freight train, and he wasn't alone. 4 more Hell's Angels poured into the room behind him, filling the small space with muscle and rage. The Iron Cross guys froze. The younger one dropped his knife. The older one raised his hands slowly. This isn't club property, he said quickly. Neutral ground. You can't. Tank grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off his feet. You just broke into a room where we're protecting someone. You pulled a weapon on a kid under our watch. You want to tell me again what I can't do? The man's face went purple. His hands clawed at Tank's wrist, useless. Please, he choked out. Marcus just wanted to talk. Then Marcus can come talk to me, man to man, president to president, not send his trash to terrorize a 17-year-old. Tank threw him toward the door. The man crashed into the frame, slid down to the floor. You tell Marcus we're done pretending this is about business. He tried to kill Reaper. He failed. He sent you after the kid. Now you've failed twice. Tell him the next failure is going to cost him more than he's willing to pay. The younger one helped his partner up. They stumbled toward the door, the older one cradling his throat, the younger one still bleeding from his nose. This isn't over, the older one rasped. Yeah, it is, Tank said. You just don't know it yet. They left. 2 of the Hell's Angels followed them out, making sure they actually went. Tank turned to Liam. His eyes dropped to the cut on Liam's arm. How bad? Surface. I'll live. Let me see it. Liam held out his arm. Tank examined the wound with surprising gentleness, pressing the edges together, checking for depth. You're lucky. Another inch and he'd have hit the artery. Story of my life. Almost dead, but not quite. Tank's mouth twitched. You've got a smart mouth for someone who just got jumped by 2 grown men with knives. Yeah, well, I threw a phone at one of them. Figured I earned it. This time, Tank actually smiled. Yeah, you did. He pulled a first aid kit from somewhere inside his cut, started cleaning the wound. How'd they find you? I don't know. You said this place was secure. It was, which means someone inside gave you up. Tank's hands paused. Someone knew which room knew you were alone, knew exactly when to hit. That's not a lucky guess. That's inside information. The implication settled over the room like ice water. You've got a rat, Liam said quietly. Maybe, or maybe someone's been watching us closer than we thought. Tank finished bandaging the arm, pulled out his phone. Either way, you're not staying here. Pack your stuff. You're coming to the clubhouse. Oh, is that safer? It's the only place I know for sure who's watching the door. Tank made a call, spoke in low tones Liam couldn't quite hear. When he hung up, his expression was grim. Reaper's awake. He wants to see you. They rode through Bozeman in convoy formation, 6 bikes, including Liam on the back of Tank's. People stared as they passed. A mother pulled her kid closer. A cop car slowed, watched them go by, didn't follow. The hospital parking lot was already full of hellsangels by the time they arrived. Liam counted at least 40 bikes more than last night. Word had spread. Inside, the tension was thick enough to choke on. Nurses gave them wide berth. Security guards watched, but didn't approach. Tank led Liam through the maze of hallways to Reaper's room. The president looked worse in daylight. Pale, drawn tubes running everywhere, leg elevated and wrapped thick. But his eyes were sharp when they tracked Liam entering. Heard you had a rough morning, Reaper said. Heard you lived through the night, Liam shot back. We're both full of surprises. Reaper's laugh turned into a cough. When it settled, he gestured for Tank to close the door. Tell me everything. Liam recounted the attack, Tank filling in details. By the end, Reaper's jaw was clenched so tight Liam could hear his teeth grinding. Marcus is making this personal, Reaper said finally. He doesn't care about club politics anymore. This is about revenge. His brother's been dead 10 years, Tank said. Why now? Because I'm vulnerable. Surgery recovery out of commission for weeks. He sees an opportunity. Reaper's eyes found Liam. And you're the perfect pressure point. David Bennett's son, the kid who saved my life. Kill you and he hurts me worse than any bullet could. So what do we do? Liam asked. We adapt. Reaper shifted in the bed, wincing. Tank call church for tonight, full patch. We vote on how to handle Marcus. Already done? 7 o'clock? Good. Reaper looked at Liam again. You're going to stay at the clubhouse. Not as a guest, not as charity. You're going to work. Prospect duties. Cleaning errands, whatever needs doing. You earn your keep. You learn how we operate. And most importantly, you stay alive long enough for us to figure out how to end this thing with Marcus. What if I don't want to be part of this? The question came out before Liam could stop it. Reaper's expression didn't change. Then we set you up somewhere else. New city, new name, enough money to start over. Witness protection light. You'd be safe, but you'd be alone. And if I stay, then you're family, which means we protect you, teach you, give you a future. But it also means you're in this life with all the ugly that comes with it. The violence, the danger, the fact that men like Marcus exist, and sometimes they come for the people you care about. Liam thought about the motel room, the knife, the blood on his arm, the way Tank and his crew had burst through that door without hesitation, ready to fight for someone they barely knew. He thought about his father, a man he'd never met, who'd saved these people, and paid for it with his life. He thought about the last 3 years sleeping in the cold, eating from dumpsters, invisible to a world that didn't care if he lived or died. I'm staying, Liam said. Reaper nodded slowly. Then understand this. You're David Bennett's son. That name carries weight here. It carries debt, and it carries danger. Marcus knows who you are now. Others will too. Your father was a hero to us, but he was an enemy to a lot of people. Those people are still out there. What did he do exactly? Liam asked. "Everyone keeps saying he saved you, but nobody's telling me the whole story." Reaper and Tank exchanged a look. "You want to tell him?" Tank asked. "He deserves to know." Reaper settled back against his pillows. 15 years ago, we were moving guns. A lot of guns. Military surplus bought off corrupt officials meant for cartels down south. $3 million deal. Biggest payday the club had ever seen. Your father was deep cover ATF had been for 2 years. We didn't know. Nobody knew. He'd earned his patch, his trust, everything. Liam's stomach turned. The deal was going down in a warehouse outside Billings. 50 crates, all clean serial numbers, ready to ship. Then the cartel showed up early, decided they wanted the guns for free, brought soldiers to take them by force. Ambushed us. 4 of our guys went down in the first 30 seconds. I took 2 rounds, was bleeding out behind a forklift waiting to die. Reaper's eyes went distant. Your father could have stayed hidden. Could have let us die, secured the evidence, closed the case, been a hero. Instead, he dropped his cover, came in shooting, gave us time to fight back. Saved my life. Saved half the club. But the deal was burned, the guns destroyed, and every criminal organization involved now knew David Bennett was ATF. So they came after him, Liam said quietly. Not just him. His pregnant wife. You before you were even born. The cartel put a contract on your whole family. Reaper's voice was flat. We helped him disappear. Witness protection, new names, new life. We thought that was the end of it. But it wasn't. Car crash 2 years later. Officially an accident. But your father was a careful driver and the brake line was cut clean. Tank's voice was bitter. Same way they came after Reaper last night. Someone finished what they started. The room went silent except for the beep of monitors. My mother told me he abandoned us, Liam said. His voice sounded hollow in his own ears. She said he was a coward who ran away. Your mother was protected by not knowing the truth, Reaper said. Safer that way. But your father was a lot of things, kid. Coward wasn't one of them. Liam's hands were shaking. He shoved them in his pockets. So everyone who wanted him dead, they're still out there. Some of them. The cartels changed hands a dozen times. Most of the original players are dead or in prison. But Marcus's brother was one of the guys your father shot that night. Marcus has never forgiven that. Never forgotten. So killing me is revenge for his brother. And for the deal we lost. And for 15 years of grudge he's been nursing. Reaper leaned forward as much as his injuries allowed. Listen to me. You didn't ask for this. You didn't earn this. You were just a kid trying to survive, and you stumbled into something bigger than you. I'm giving you an out. Right now. One word and we make you disappear, set you up safe. Liam met his eyes. My father gave up everything to save you. His cover, his career, his life. And I'm supposed to run away because it's hard. Being brave and being stupid aren't the same thing. Yeah, well, I've been stupid for 3 years and it's kept me alive. Liam straightened. I'm staying. I'm working. I'm learning. And when Marcus comes for me again, because we both know he will, I'm going to be ready. Tank's phone buzzed. He checked it, jaw tightening. We've got a problem. What kind? Reaper asked. The kind where Marcus just posted bail for the 2 guys we threw out of Liam's motel room. They're out, and they're pissed. Reaper cursed. How fast can you get the kid to the clubhouse? 20 minutes. Make it 10. And Tank... Reaper's voice dropped. From now on, Liam doesn't go anywhere without 2 escorts minimum. You understand, Marcus just declared war. The kid's not dying on my watch. Tank gripped Liam's shoulder. Let's move. They left Reaper behind Tank, moving fast through the hospital corridors. Outside, the convoy had grown. Liam counted 60 bikes, now maybe more. Word's spreading, Tank muttered. Everyone's coming in. Is that good or bad? Depends on whether Marcus is stupid enough to hit us while we're grouped up. Tank swung onto his bike. Get on. Stay low. If anything happens, you do exactly what I say when I say it. Got it. Got it. The ride to the clubhouse took 12 minutes. Not 10, because Tank took a route that doubled back on itself 3 times, checking for tails. The clubhouse sat on the edge of town, a nondescript building with a high fence and cameras everywhere. The gate rolled open as they approached. Inside it was controlled chaos. Bikes everywhere. Men in cuts, talking in tight groups. Tension crackling through the air like static. Tank led Liam inside the main building. It smelled like beer and motor oil walls, covered with photos and memorabilia from decades of club history. A pool table dominated one corner. A bar ran along the back wall. "This is home," Tank said. "For now, anyway. Your room's upstairs, second door on the left. It's small, but it's yours. Nobody goes in without permission. Nobody bothers you without reason. You need anything, you find me or Doc. Everyone else, you're polite, but cautious. Not everyone's thrilled about you being here. Because of my father. Because you're an outsider who got special treatment. Some of the guys think you're a liability. Others think you're a spy. You're going to have to prove yourself." A voice called out from across the room. That him, the Bennett kid. A man approached, older, maybe 50, with a scarred face and cold eyes. His patch read Sergeant at Arms above the name Razor. "This is the kid who saved Reaper." Razor circled Liam slowly like he was inspecting livestock. "Doesn't look like much." "He held his own against 2 of Marcus's crew this morning," Tank said evenly. "Yeah, and nearly got himself killed in the process." Razor stopped in front of Liam. "You know what a liability looks like, kid. Looks like someone who can't protect themselves but expects everyone else to die, keeping them safe." "I never asked anyone to die for me," Liam said. "No, but your daddy did. Got a lot of good men killed or locked up that night 15 years ago, and now here you are wearing his name expecting us to honor a debt." "I expect you to honor your president's word. He said I stay, I stay." Razor's eyes narrowed. "Got a smart mouth. Got a honest mouth. If that makes you uncomfortable, that's your problem, not mine." For a long second, Liam thought Razor was going to hit him. Then the older man laughed, sharp and humorless. "You've got stones, I'll give you that. Stupid stones, but stones." He turned to Tank. "He tries to run, let him. He gets himself killed being brave, that's on him. But if he puts this club in danger, if his presence here brings Marcus down on us harder than we can handle, I'm voting to cut him loose. Debt or no debt." "Noted," Tank said. Razor walked away. Other men watched the exchange, some nodding agreement, others looking less certain. Tank led Liam upstairs. The room was exactly as described, small, with a single bed, a dresser, and a window that looked out over the parking lot. But it was clean, and it was his. "Get some rest," Tank said. "Church is at 7. You're not invited, but you'll hear about it after. Whatever we decide tonight, that's what happens. You ready for that?" "Do I have a choice?" "There's always a choice, kid. The question is whether you can live with the consequences." Tank left. Liam sat on the bed, staring at the walls, listening to the rumble of voices below. His arm throbbed where the knife had caught him. His head ached from the elbow to the temple. His whole body felt like it had been through a grinder. But he was alive. And for the first time in years, he wasn't alone. He pulled out the challenge coin Tank had given him, turned it over in his fingers. One side had the hellsangels' death head. The other had words worn almost smooth, forever, forever. Outside engines roared. More bikes arriving. The club gathering. Whatever came next, Liam knew one thing for certain. He'd just stepped into a war. And there was no walking away from it now. Liam woke to the sound of breaking glass. For a second, he thought he was back under the bridge in Bozeman, that the last 2 days had been some fever dream born of hypothermia and desperation. Then he registered the bed beneath him, the walls around him, the shouting from downstairs that turned his blood to ice. They're in the garage. He was on his feet before his brain caught up, pulling on jeans, grabbing his shoes. The clock on the dresser read 2:47 a.m. 4 hours since church had let out. 4 hours since Tank had knocked on his door and told him the vote was unanimous. Protect the kid and Marcus, whatever it takes. Now Marcus had brought the fight to them. Liam hit the hallway at a run. Other doors flew open, men stumbling out in various states of dress, all of them armed. Tank appeared at the top of the stairs, pulling a shirt over his head, a gun already in his other hand. Liam, get back in your room and lock the door. What's happening? Marcus's crew hit the garage. They're trying to burn us out. Tank grabbed another man by the shoulder. Ace, you're on the kid. Nobody gets up these stairs. You understand? Ace nodded, a younger guy with nervous eyes and a shotgun that looked too big for his frame. He positioned himself at the top of the stairs as Tank and the others thundered down. Come on, Ace said to Liam. Back inside, now. How many are out there? I don't know. 10, maybe 15. Doesn't matter. We've got 40 guys here. They're stupid if they think they can... The window in Liam's room exploded inward. The Molotov cocktail arced through the air in slow-motion flames, trailing behind it like a comet. It hit the floor and erupted fire, spreading across the cheap carpet in a hungry wave. Ace swore and grabbed Liam, shoving him toward the stairs. They made it 3 steps before the second window went this one at the end of the hall. Another bottle, another explosion of flame. The hallway filled with smoke in seconds. They're trying to trap us upstairs, Liam choked out. No kidding. Ace fired the shotgun out the broken window, pumped, fired again. Get downstairs. Go! Liam didn't wait. He took the stairs 2 at a time, hit the main floor, and ran straight into chaos. The garage door had been blown open, metal twisted and smoking. Men in iron crosscuts poured through, some with guns, others with bats and chains. The Hells Angels met them head-on, the 2 groups colliding in the center of the room like waves crashing. Tank was in the thick of it, moving like a man half his size, his fists landing with brutal efficiency. Doc had someone in a chokehold. Razor was on his back, 3 men trying to pin him, his knife flashing in the emergency lights. Liam, a voice to his right. Cole, the young prospect, Liam vaguely remembered from the hospital parking lot, was pressed behind an overturned pool table. Get down! Liam dove as a bullet punched through the wall where his head had been. He scrambled across the floor, slid in next to Cole. You armed? Cole asked. Do I look armed? Cole shoved a crowbar into his hands. You are now. Stay close to me. We get separated, you're dead. Encouraging. The fire alarm started screaming. Smoke poured down the stairs, thick and black. Through the haze, Liam saw Tank slam someone's head into the bar, turn, take a hit to the ribs that should have dropped him, but didn't. We need to get everyone out, Liam said. The whole building's going to go up. You think Tank doesn't know that? Cole fired twice toward the garage, ducked back. He's trying to push them out so we can evacuate, but they keep coming. And a man in an iron cross-cut crashed through the front window, rolled, came up with a pistol. He aimed at Tank's back. Liam moved without thinking. He launched himself from behind the pool table, crowbar raised, and brought it down on the man's wrist. Bones cracked. The gun clattered away. The man howled and spun, fist connecting with Liam's jaw, hard enough to send him sprawling. Stars exploded across his vision. He tasted copper. The man advanced, pulling a knife from his boot. You're the Bennett kid, the man snarled. Marcus wants you alive. Didn't say in what condition. He lunged. Liam rolled, felt the knife scrape across his shoulder blade, came up swinging the crowbar wild. It connected with something soft. The man grunted, staggered. Cole appeared, slammed his gun into the man's temple. He went down hard. I said stay close, Cole panted, pulling Liam to his feet. I'm working on it. More Hell's Angels poured in from the back rooms, and suddenly the tide shifted. The Iron Cross fighters started pulling back, throwing chairs and bottles as they retreated toward the blown garage door. Tank's voice cut through the chaos. Let them run. Everyone out now. Building's compromised. They evacuated in a controlled stampede, men grabbing valuables, weapons, anything they could carry. Liam stumbled into the parking lot with Cole, both of them coughing smoke, and watched the clubhouse burn. Flames licked out the upstairs windows, now orange and hungry against the night sky. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone was screaming into a phone about fire trucks and ambulances. Tank did a head count, his face grim in the firelight. Anyone missing? Razor's still inside, someone shouted. He went back for the club records. Damn it! Tank moved toward the building. Wait! Liam grabbed his arm. You can't go back in there. Those records are our history. 50 years of the club. Births, deaths, everything. Tank shook him off. I'm not losing them. You'll die. Then I die protecting what matters. He was 3 steps toward the door, when part of the roof collapsed inward with a roar that sounded like God giving up. Flames shot 30 feet into the air. The heat pushed everyone back. Tank stood frozen, staring at the inferno. Tank, Liam said quietly. He's gone. We don't know that. Look at it. Nobody's walking out of that. Tank's hands clenched into fists. For a horrible second, Liam thought he was going to charge in anyway, throw himself into the fire on pure, stubborn loyalty. Then his shoulders sagged. Damn it! Damn it! He spun, slammed his fist into a bike's gas tank hard enough to dent it. Razor! The name echoed across the parking lot. No answer came back except the crackle of flames. Cole moved closer to Liam. This is bad. Razor's been with the club 30 years. He was a founder. If he's dead because of me, Liam finished. Marcus came here for me. All of this is because I'm here. Don't, Cole said sharply. Don't do that. Marcus came here because he's been waiting for an excuse to burn us down for a decade. You're just the match he used. The fire trucks arrived, but it was too late. They could save the surrounding buildings, keep the fire from spreading, but the clubhouse was gone. By the time the flames were under control, dawn was breaking gray and cold. Liam sat on the curb with Cole, both of them wrapped in emergency blankets that did nothing against the chill seeping into their bones. Around them, Hell's Angels stood in small groups, talking in low voices, some crying openly. Tank approached his face, streaked with soot, and something that might have been tears. Razor's body in there? Liam asked. Don't know. Won't until the fire marshal clears it. Tank sat down heavily between them. But he went in. We all saw it. If he made it out, someone would have seen. I'm sorry, Liam said. Not your fault? Everyone else seems to think it is. Liam nodded toward a group of men watching him with undisguised anger. I heard what they were saying. That I'm bad luck. That the club's burning because of me. The club's burning because Marcus Vega is a psychopath who can't let go of a grudge. Tank's voice was flat. But yeah, some of the brothers are going to blame you. Human nature. They need someone to point at, and you're here. Maybe I should go. Where? Tank looked at him. You think Marcus is going to stop hunting you if you leave? You think you'll be safer on your own? At least your people won't keep dying. Cole snorted. You really think we were safe before you showed up? Marcus has been picking at us for years. 3 brothers dead in the last 18 months, all in accidents that weren't quite accidents. You didn't start this war, Liam. You just gave Marcus an excuse to escalate. A car pulled into the parking lot, a black sedan that had police written all over it, despite the lack of markings. 2 detectives got out, both in rumpled suits that said they'd been pulled from sleep. Here we go, Tank muttered. Don't say anything stupid. Actually, don't say anything at all. Let me handle it. The older detective approached Badge, already out. I'm Detective Morrison. This is Detective Chen. We need to speak with whoever's in charge. That'd be me, Vice President. President's in the hospital. Tank stood. And before you ask, no, we don't know who did this. Came out of nowhere, attackers wore masks, we fought back, they ran. That's the story. Morrison's eyes swept the scene. Funny how came out of nowhere looks a lot like an organized hit. We've got witnesses reporting at least a dozen motorcycles fleeing the scene, all heading east. Same direction as the Iron Cross clubhouse. Can't help you with that. No, I bet you can't. Morrison's gaze landed on Liam. Who's the kid? Guessed. Guessed with a split lip and what looks like a knife wound on his shoulder. Morrison stepped closer. Son, you hurt. Liam opened his mouth. Tank cut him off. He's fine. Got roughed up in the commotion, but he's not pressing charges or making statements. I wasn't asking you. Morrison kept his eyes on Liam. You got a name, son? Liam. Liam what? Tank's hand landed on Liam's shoulder, heavy with warning. He's a minor. You want to question him, you need a guardian present and probably a lawyer. We doing this official or are you just fishing? Morrison and Chen exchanged a look. We're just trying to understand what happened here tonight. What happened is someone firebombed a private residence. You want to investigate that, be my guest. But you're not dragging this kid into it. This kid was seen pulling a weapon on an Iron Cross member inside that burning building, Chen said quietly. Multiple witnesses. We've got statements already. Liam's stomach dropped. He was defending himself, Cole interjected. Guy came at him with a knife. What was he supposed to do, die quietly? That's a question for a courtroom, not a parking lot. Morrison pulled out a card, handed it to Liam. You need to talk, you call me. Not your biker friends. Me. Understand? Liam took the card, said nothing. The detectives left, but their presence lingered like smoke. Tank waited until they were gone before turning to Liam. They're going to come at you hard. Accessory to assault may be worse if they can tie you to any of the injuries inside. You need to be ready for that. I just defended myself. I know, but the law doesn't always care about context. You're 17, no parents, no guardians, surrounded by men in gang colors. A prosecutor could paint that picture real ugly. Tank scrubbed a hand over his face. We need to get you a lawyer, and we need to find somewhere safe for you to stay until this settles. The clubhouse is gone, Cole pointed out. Where's anyone staying? Members with families will go home. Everyone else, we've got a couple safe houses. But Liam... Tank trailed off. I'm the target, Liam finished. Anywhere I go puts people in danger. Pretty much. A bike pulled up, engine loud in the dawn quiet. The rider was a woman mid-30s, leather, and patches marking her as part of the club. She pulled off her helmet, revealing short, dark hair and eyes that looked like they'd seen everything twice. Tank, she said. Reaper's on the phone. He heard about the fire. Tank took the phone she offered, walked a few steps away. Liam watched his body language change as he listened. Shoulders tightening, jaw working. When he came back, his expression was unreadable. Reaper wants to see you, he told Liam. Right now. Is that good or bad? With Reaper, it's never just one or the other. They rode to the hospital. Liam on the back of Tank's bike again, the city still mostly asleep around them. In the cold morning light, everything looked sharper, more real. The smoke on his clothes, the ache in his jaw, the weight of knowing a man had died because Marcus wanted Liam badly enough to burn down a building. Reaper's room was crowded. Doc was there, and the woman who'd brought the phone, whose patch read Tiger. A few others Liam didn't recognize. They all looked at him when he entered, and he couldn't read any of their expressions. Reaper looked worse than before. The pain lines were deeper, his skin grayer, but his eyes were sharp as ever. Liam, he said, come here. Liam approached the bed. His legs felt like water. I heard what happened, Reaper continued. The fire. The fight. Razor. His voice cracked on the name. I heard you picked up a weapon and defended Cole when you could have run. I wasn't going to let someone die. No, you weren't. Reaper's hand shot out, grabbed Liam's wrist. Listen to me. This club is 50 years old. We've survived wars with cartels, feds, other clubs. We've lost brothers before. We'll lose brothers again. That's the life. But we've never lost our heart. And right now, watching you stand here covered in smoke and blood because you wouldn't abandon someone, I'm reminded why we do this. Why we choose this family. Razor's dead because of me. Razor's dead because he ran into a burning building to save history. That was his choice. Just like helping me on that highway was yours. Just like fighting beside Cole was yours. You don't get to take responsibility for other people's courage. Reaper squeezed his wrist. But you do need to understand what comes next. What's that? Marcus isn't done. He's going to escalate. That fire was personal. Burning the clubhouse, that's a declaration. He's not trying to kill us quietly anymore. He wants everyone to know he can touch us whenever he wants. Tank stepped forward. We voted this morning. Before dawn, while the fire was still burning. Emergency church. Unanimous decision. We're going after Marcus, Doc said. Full force. No more half measures. No more playing defense. We end this. Liam's blood went cold. You're going to war. Because of me. We're going to war because Marcus forced our hand, Reaper corrected. But there's something you need to know. Something we found out during church. Tiger pulled out a folder, handed it to Reaper. He opened it with shaking hands, pulled out a photograph. Recognize him? Liam looked at the photo. A man in his 40s, hard eyes, graying hair. Something about the face was familiar, but wrong. Like looking at a reflection through warped glass. No, Liam said. Should I? His name is Jackson Vega, Marcus's cousin. Also happens to be a lieutenant in the Bozeman PD. Reaper let that sink in. He's the one who's been feeding Marcus information. How to find you. When you'd be alone. Where we keep our safe houses. The ground tilted under Liam's feet. A cop. Not just any cop. The cop investigating your father's death 15 years ago. Reaper's expression was grim. The car crash that killed David Bennett Jackson Vega closed the case in 48 hours. Ruled it accidental. No follow-up, no investigation into the cut brake line that 3 mechanics later confirmed was there. Liam's hand started shaking. He covered it up. He helped murder your father, and now he's helping Marcus finish the job by coming after you. Reaper pulled out another photo, this one of Liam walking into the motel 2 nights ago. Jackson took this, sent it to Marcus. That's how they knew where to find you. Why? The word came out broken. Why would a cop work with a biker gang to kill people? Because Jackson's brother Marcus's father was the cartel contact who died in that warehouse raid. David Bennett shot him. Tank's voice was flat. This isn't just about revenge against the club, Liam. This is about 3 generations of the Vega family wanting the Bennetts dead. Your father, then you. The room spun. Liam grabbed the edge of the bed to steady himself. So what do we do? He asked. We give you a choice, Reaper said. We can put you on a bus tonight. New city cash in hand, a phone number for emergencies. You disappear. We handle Marcus and Jackson our way, and you get to live your life somewhere else. Or you stay. You learn. You become part of this family for real. And when we go after Marcus, you're there. Not as a kid we're protecting, but as someone with skin in the game. Reaper's eyes burned. Your father never got justice. We can give you that. But only if you're willing to pay the price. What price? Everything that comes after. The life. The brotherhood. The fact that you'll never be normal again. You'll always be Liam Bennett, son of David, brother to the Hells Angels, Montana. That's a weight, kid. One you carry forever. Liam thought about his father, a man he'd never known who'd died protecting his family from people who wouldn't stop until every Bennett was dead. He thought about Razor, who'd run into fire for something he believed in. He thought about Tank and Cole and Doc and Reaper, all of them willing to stand between him and the people who wanted him gone. He thought about 3 years on the street, invisible alone, nobody's son and nobody's brother. "I'm staying," he said, "and I'm there when you go after Marcus. He killed my father. He tried to kill me. I'm not running from that." Reaper nodded slowly. "Then we do this right. Tank start his training. I want him able to handle himself by the end of the week." "That's not enough time," Tank protested. "It's the time we've got. Marcus knows we're coming now. He'll be ready. But he won't be expecting the Bennett kid to show up armed and trained." Reaper looked at Liam again. "1 week. You learn to shoot, to fight, to ride. You learn how to stay alive when everything goes wrong. And then we make Marcus Vega wish he'd never heard the name David Bennett." "What about Jackson?" Doc asked. "Can't exactly go after a cop without consequences." "Leave Jackson to me," a voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned. Detective Morrison stood there, badge clipped to his belt expression, unreadable. "How long have you been listening?" Tank demanded. "Long enough." Morrison stepped into the room. "Jackson Vega's been dirty for years. Internal Affairs has been watching him, but we could never make anything stick. Now you're telling me he's connected to a 15-year-old murder and an ongoing conspiracy to kill a minor." He looked at Liam. "I'm going to need everything you've got on him. Recordings, documents, witnesses. And in exchange, I'll make sure you don't all end up in prison for whatever you're planning." "You'd turn on your own?" Tank asked. "He's not my own. He's a cancer in the department. And if what you're saying is true, he's a murderer." Morrison's jaw set. "But I do this by the book, which means no vigilante justice, no retaliation. You give me evidence, I build a case, we put him away legally." Reaper and Tank exchanged a long look. "We've got recordings," Tank said finally. "Wiretaps from Jackson's phone. Conversations with Marcus planning the motel attack. We were saving them for leverage, but if you can use them, I can use them." Morrison held out his hand. "I'm trusting you not to make me regret this." "We're trusting you not to make us regret it," Tank countered. They shook. Morrison turned to leave, paused at the door. "Kid," he said to Liam, "your father was a good man. He saved a lot of lives that night in Billings, not just the bikers. The guns he destroyed would have armed 3 cartels and killed hundreds. Don't let anyone tell you he died for nothing." He left. The room stayed silent for a long moment. "So that's it?" Liam asked. "We trust a cop to handle Jackson and we go after Marcus ourselves." "That's it," Reaper said. "Marcus without police protection is just another biker with a grudge. One we can handle. When do we move?" "Soon as you're ready." Tank gripped Liam's shoulder. "Which means we start training now. Cole, grab your bike. We're taking the kid to the range." "Now?" Cole asked. "Sun's barely up." "Marcus isn't waiting for convenient timing. Neither are we." Tank headed for the door. "Liam, you coming?" Liam looked back at Reaper one last time. The president nodded once, a gesture of approval and warning all mixed together. "Don't die before I get out of this bed," Reaper said. "I didn't save you from that highway just to lose you to Marcus Vega." "I'll try my best," Liam said. "Your best better be enough." They left the hospital as the sun broke fully over the mountains, turning the snow on the peaks orange and gold. Liam rode behind Tank, the cold wind burning his face, his body aching from the fire and the fight, and everything that had happened in the last 72 hours. 3 days ago, he'd been nobody, a homeless kid walking a frozen highway with nothing but $8 and a death wish he wouldn't admit to. Now he was Liam Bennett, son of a hero brother to a motorcycle club target of a man who'd been planning his death since before he was born. The shooting range was an hour outside town, a private facility owned by a friend of the club. Tank set Liam up with a .22 first, teaching him stance and grip and breathing. "Squeeze, don't pull," Tank instructed. "The gun should surprise you when it goes off." Liam fired. The target stayed pristine. "Again." He fired until his hands shook and his ears rang and his shoulder ached from the recoil. By noon, he could hit the target. By evening, he could hit center mass 3 times out of 5. "Not bad for a first day," Cole said, watching Liam reload. "Most people can't hit anything their first time out." "I'm motivated," Liam said. "Yeah, being hunted by a psychopath will do that." They trained for 6 days, shooting hand-to-hand combat riding tactics. Tank pushed Liam harder than anyone, and when Liam thought he couldn't go anymore, Tank pushed harder still. "Marcus won't care that you're tired," Tank said after Liam collapsed during sparring. "Marcus won't care that you're hurt or scared or 17. Get up." Liam got up. On the 7th day, Tank declared him ready. Not perfect, not even good, but good enough to survive if things went bad. "Tomorrow night," Tank said. "Marcus's compound. We go in, we end this, we come home. Everyone clear." The gathered Hell's Angels nodded. 40 men, all armed, all ready. Liam stood among them and felt the weight of what was coming settle on his shoulders like lead. Tomorrow night, one way or another, this ended. The night before the raid, Liam couldn't sleep. He lay in his temporary room at Doc's house, staring at the ceiling, listening to the old building settle around him. His body ached from 7 days of training that had pushed him past every limit he thought he had. His hands were blistered from the gun range. His ribs were bruised from sparring. His mind wouldn't stop replaying Tank's voice, "Tomorrow night, this ends." One way or another. Around 2 a.m., he gave up on sleep and went downstairs. The kitchen light was already on. Tank sat at the table with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. "Figured you'd be up," Tank said, pouring without asking. He slid 1 glass across to Liam. "I'm 17. You're also about to ride into a war zone tomorrow. I think we can skip the lecture about underage drinking." Tank raised his glass. "To Razor, and to everyone else we've lost along the way." Liam lifted his glass, took a sip. The whiskey burned going down, settled warm in his stomach. "You think we're going to make it back?" "Honestly, I don't know. Marcus has been preparing for this his whole life. He's got his compound fortified cameras everywhere, armed guards. We're walking into his territory with 40 guys and a plan that depends on things going right." Tank took another drink. "But we don't have a choice. He came into our house, burned it down, killed Razor. If we don't answer that, we might as well hand him the keys to Montana and walk away. What if I told you not to go, that it's not worth dying over? Then I'd say you don't understand what brotherhood means yet." Tank looked at him. "Your father understood. He walked into that warehouse knowing he might not walk out, and he did it anyway because it was right. Because some things are worth dying for. He had a family. I was on the way. He should have stayed hidden. Maybe. But then Reaper and half the club would be dead, and you wouldn't be sitting here right now. Every choice has a cost, kid. Your father paid his. Tomorrow, some of us might pay ours. That's the deal." Liam stared into his glass. "I keep thinking about my half-brother, Jake. He's 9 now. I haven't seen him in 3 years, but I used to call him when I could steal phone time at the foster homes. He'd tell me about school and his friends and this dog his dad got him." His throat tightened. "Last time we talked, he asked when I was coming home. I told him soon. I've been telling him soon for 3 years. You want to see him again? More than anything. Then stay alive tomorrow. Do exactly what I tell you when I tell you, and maybe you get that chance." Tank refilled both glasses. "But I'm not going to lie to you. This isn't going to be clean. Marcus isn't going to surrender. His people aren't going to just let us walk in. There's going to be blood, and some of it's going to be ours. I'm not afraid to die. That's the problem. You should be. Fear keeps you alive, makes you careful. Tank leaned forward. I've seen too many young guys who thought they were bulletproof walk into situations they shouldn't have survived and didn't. You want to honor your father, then be smart. Stay behind cover. Don't be a hero. Just survive. And if Marcus comes for me directly, then you do what you've been trained to do. You fight back. But you remember he's been doing this for 30 years. You've been doing it for 7 days. There's no shame in staying alive long enough for help to arrive. They sat in silence for a while, drinking slowly, the whiskey loosening something tight in Liam's chest. Outside, snow started falling again, soft against the windows. Tank, Liam said finally. If something happens to me tomorrow, don't. Listen, if something happens and I don't make it, I need you to tell Jake that I tried, that I wanted to come home, that I wasn't just running away from him. Tank's jaw worked. You tell him yourself when this is over. But if I can't, then I'll tell him. Tank's voice was rough. I'll tell him his brother died trying to do right by people who needed him, that he was braver than he had any business being, that David Bennett would have been proud. He cleared his throat. Now finish your drink and get some sleep. We leave at sunset. Liam woke to his phone buzzing. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Hello? Liam Bennett, a woman's voice professional, careful. Who's this? My name is Karen Reeves. I'm a social worker with Montana Child Services. I've been trying to reach you for 3 days. Liam's stomach dropped. How'd you get this number? Detective Morrison provided it. He said you might be in a situation that requires state intervention. Her voice softened slightly. Liam, I understand you've been living with members of a motorcycle club. Is that correct? I'm safe. I don't need intervention. You're 17 years old with no legal guardian. By law, you should be in state custody or with an approved foster family. The people you're with, they're not qualified caregivers. They're the only people who've cared whether I lived or died in 3 years. I understand it feels that way, but there are protocols, resources, better options than staying with a motorcycle gang. She paused. Liam, Detective Morrison also told me there may be a dangerous situation developing. If you're in any kind of danger, I can help. I can get you somewhere safe tonight. I'm already somewhere safe. Are you? Because from what I'm hearing, you're about to be involved in some kind of confrontation between rival clubs. That's not safe, Liam. That's the opposite of safe. Liam's hands tightened around the phone. You don't understand what's happening here. Then help me understand. Talk to me. Meet with me. Let me show you there are other ways to handle this. The other ways got my father killed. The system couldn't protect him. It sure as hell won't protect me. Your father was ATF. He had resources training federal protection. And he still died because he stayed too close to dangerous people. Her voice was gentle but firm. Don't make the same mistake. My father died because someone cut his brake line and a dirty cop covered it up. The system failed him. The system's been failing me my whole life. Liam started pacing. These people you're calling a gang, they showed up when I needed them. They've fed me, protected me, taught me how to defend myself. They're not perfect, but they're here. Where was the system when I was sleeping under bridges? We failed you. I won't deny that. But this isn't the answer. Violence never is. Tell that to Marcus Vega. Silence on the other end. Then, who's Marcus Vega? The man who's been trying to kill me since I saved Reaper's life. The man who burned down the clubhouse and killed someone just to get to me. You want to help me with that. Liam, if someone's threatening your life, that's what police are for. The police won't do anything until I'm already dead. These people will. He took a breath. Look, Ms. Reeves, I appreciate that you're trying to help. Really. But you're calling the wrong person at the wrong time. This ends tonight, one way or another. After that, if I'm still alive, maybe we can talk about proper protocols and approved foster families, but right now I've got somewhere to be. Liam, wait. He hung up. His hands were shaking. Tank appeared in the doorway. Who was that? Social services. Wants to pull me out, put me in state custody. They can try. Tank's expression was grim. Morrison must have reported the situation, probably trying to cover his bases legally. Will they come for me? Not tonight. They'd need a court order and the courts are closed. By the time they open tomorrow, this'll be over. Tank handed him a leather jacket heavier than the one he'd been borrowing. This was Razor's. Doc thought you should have it. No patches yet, you haven't earned those. But it's protection, and it's a reminder of what we're fighting for. Liam took the jacket. The leather was worn soft in places, scarred in others, smelled like smoke and motor oil and history. He put it on. It fit better than anything he'd ever worn. Thank you, he said. Don't thank me yet. You've got to survive the night first. They gathered at sunset in a parking lot outside town. 40 Hell's Angels, all armed, all silent. The mood was different from the hospital parking lot that first night. Less urgency, more resignation. Everyone knew what they were riding into. Reaper wasn't there. Still in the hospital, still recovering. But his presence hung over them anyway. A ghost watching to see if they'd honor what he'd built. Tank stood on a bike, addressed the group. Marcus Vega's compound is 15 miles east. He knows we're coming. He's had a week to prepare. That means guards' weapons probably booby traps. We're not going in blind, but we're not going in with all the answers either. What's the play? Someone called out. We split into 3 groups. First group hits the front, makes noise, draws attention. Second group comes around the back, cuts off escape routes. Third group with me and Liam goes for Marcus directly. We get him. We end this. And if we don't get him, then we make damn sure he regrets burning our clubhouse. Tank's voice was steel. But I want to be clear. This isn't about revenge. This is about protection. Marcus came into our home. He killed our brother. He's hunting a kid who did nothing except pull one of us out of a ditch. We end that threat tonight, or we spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the group. Doc, you're leading the front assault. Tiger, you've got the back. Stay on comms. If this goes sideways, we regroup at checkpoint Bravo and reassess. Nobody plays hero. Nobody goes down alone. We fight together, or we don't fight at all. Tank jumped down from the bike. Mount up. We leave in 5. Liam found himself standing next to Cole, both of them checking their weapons with hands that weren't quite steady. You scared? Cole asked. Terrified. Good, me too. Cole managed a weak smile. My mom called earlier. Told her I was working late at the shop. She has no idea where I really am. Why'd you join the club? My dad was Hell's Angels. Died when I was 12, shoot out with the Iron Cross, actually. I swore I'd make Marcus pay one day. He checked his magazine, slapped it back in. Guess today's that day. You don't have to come, Liam said. This is my fight, not yours. It's all our fight now. That's how this works. Your enemy is my enemy. Your debt is my debt. Cole gripped his shoulder. Besides, someone's got to make sure you don't do anything stupid. Too late for that. I'm here, aren't I? They mounted up. Liam rode behind Tank again, the now familiar vibration of the engine working its way into his bones. As they pulled onto the highway, the line of bikes stretched behind them like a promise. The ride took 30 minutes. They cut their engines a mile out, coasted the rest of the way in near silence. Marcus's compound sat in a valley, a sprawling collection of buildings surrounded by chain-link fence topped with razor wire. Lights blazed from every structure. Shadows moved behind windows. Tank held up a fist. Everyone stopped. They're awake, Doc whispered. Waiting for us. Expected that. Tank pulled out binoculars, scanned the compound. 6 guards visible on the perimeter. Probably more inside. Front gate's reinforced. We'll need to blow it. Or, Liam said quietly, an idea forming. We don't go through the gate. Tank lowered the binoculars. What? The fence. It's chain link. We can cut through it in 30 seconds with bolt cutters. Why waste explosives announcing ourselves when we can slip in quiet? The gathered men looked at each other. Someone laughed. Kid's got a point, Doc said. Hit them where they're not expecting. Tank considered, then nodded. All right. Change of plans. Doc, you still hit the front, make noise, draw the guards. Tiger cut through the east fence, come in quiet. We'll take west. Questions? No one spoke. Let's move. They split up. Liam stayed with Tank and 5 others moving through the darkness with bolt cutters and weapons drawn. The fence appeared ahead industrial and cold. Tank made quick work of the chain link, peeling back a section large enough to slip through. They were inside Marcus's territory in under a minute. The main building loomed ahead, 2 stories of concrete and steel with bars on the windows. Tank led them to a side entrance, tested the door. Locked. Watch the corners, he whispered, then kicked the door hard. It held. He kicked again. The frame splintered. They poured inside just as gunfire erupted from the front of the compound. Doc's team had engaged. The interior was dark, lit only by emergency strips along the floor. Tank moved forward with practiced ease, weapon up, clearing corners. Liam followed his heart, hammering so hard he thought everyone could hear it. A figure appeared in a doorway ahead. Tank fired twice. The figure dropped. Keep moving, Tank hissed. They cleared 3 rooms before finding stairs leading up. Tank took point, climbing slowly, checking each step. At the top, a hallway stretched left and right doors on both sides. Which way? Someone whispered. Tank didn't answer. He was staring at something on the wall. A photo. Liam moved closer, saw what had stopped him. It was his father. Young in ATF gear, standing with other agents. Someone had drawn a target over his face in red marker. He's obsessed, Liam breathed. More than that. He's been planning this for years. Tank pointed to other photos. David Bennett at a grocery store, getting into a car. Walking with a pregnant woman who must have been Liam's mother. He stalked your father before he killed him. A door at the end of the hall opened. Marcus Vega stepped out. He was bigger than Liam expected, barrel-chested and powerful, with a gray beard and eyes that burned with something beyond anger. He held a shotgun loosely like it was part of his arm. Tank, Marcus said conversationally. Brought the kid with you. How thoughtful. It's over, Marcus. Jackson's in custody. Morrison flipped on him this afternoon. Your inside man is gone. Marcus's smile didn't waver. You think Jackson was the only cop I own? That's cute. Real cute. He raised the shotgun. Should have stayed in your burned-out clubhouse, Tank. At least there you'd have died on familiar ground. Tank fired first. Marcus ducked back through the door, returned fire. The hallway exploded with sound. Liam hit the floor, ears ringing, saw Tank taking cover behind a corner. Go, Tank shouted. Find another way around. Liam scrambled backward, the others with him. They hit a side corridor, took it at a run. Behind them, Tank and Marcus traded shots, each trying to angle for a kill. The corridor opened into a garage. Bikes everywhere, tools, weapons on racks. And in the center, tied to a chair, a hostage. Liam's blood turned to ice. It was Jake. His half-brother, 9 years old, gagged and crying, hands bound. Bruises on his face. Terror in his eyes. No, Liam whispered. No, no, no. Cole grabbed his arm. It's a trap. I don't care. That's my brother. Liam, wait. But Liam was already moving weapon forgotten, everything forgotten except the sight of Jake crying in that chair. He crossed the garage in seconds, dropped to his knees, started working the knots. "It's okay," he said, pulling the gag free. "It's me. I've got you." "Liam," Jake's voice was hoarse. "He said you were dead. He said—" The lights went out. In the darkness, someone laughed. Not Marcus. Someone younger. "Told you he'd come for the kid," a voice said. "Told you he'd be stupid." Emergency lights kicked on, red and angry. 3 men stepped out of the shadows, guns drawn. The one who'd spoken was barely 20, with Marcus's eyes and a smile that made Liam's skin crawl. "I'm Kyle," the young man said. "Marcus's son. And you must be the Bennett kid who's been causing all this trouble." Liam stood slowly, putting himself between Kyle and Jake. "Let him go. He's got nothing to do with this." "He's got everything to do with this. He's bait. And you fell for it." Kyle stepped closer. "My dad's been planning this for weeks. Knew you'd come eventually. Knew if we grabbed your brother, you'd walk right into our hands. And here you are. Where'd you even find him? Spokane's not that far. Little research, little surveillance one afternoon when his dad wasn't paying attention." Kyle shrugged. "Easy." Jake whimpered. Liam felt rage unlike anything he'd ever known. "I'm going to kill you," he said quietly. Kyle laughed. "You kid, you can barely hold that gun straight. You think you're going to—" Liam shot him. The gun was in his hand before he thought about it, tanks training taking over. Center mass 2 shots, exactly like he'd been taught. Kyle went down hard, shock written across his face. The other 2 men raised their weapons. Cole appeared from the side corridor firing. One man dropped. The other ran. "Get Jake out of here!" Cole shouted, reloading. Liam cut the ropes, pulled Jake to his feet. His brother clung to him, sobbing. "I've got you," Liam said. "You're safe now." "Liam, behind you." He spun. Marcus stood in the garage doorway, shotgun aimed at Liam's chest. His face was twisted with rage and grief, his son bleeding out on the concrete floor. "You killed my boy," Marcus said. "You killed my father," Liam shot back. "Your father deserved it. He destroyed everything I built, everything my family worked for. He stopped you from arming cartels, from killing innocent people. He chose the wrong side. Now you've done the same." Marcus's finger tightened on the trigger. "Any last words, kid?" Tank appeared behind Marcus' gun, pressed to the back of his head. "Yeah," Tank said. "Drop the weapon." Marcus froze. "It's over," Tank continued. "Your son's dead. Jackson's arrested. Your compound's surrounded. You've lost Marcus. The only question now is whether you die here or in a prison cell." For a long moment, nothing moved. Then Marcus's shoulders sagged. The shotgun clattered to the floor. "I'm not going to prison," he said quietly. "Then you're dying here." "No." Reaper's voice, weak but unmistakable, came from behind them. He stood in the doorway, leaning heavily on crutches, Doc supporting him. "No more death tonight. We're better than that." "Reaper, what are you doing here?" Tank demanded. "You're supposed to be in the hospital." "Hospital got boring. Heard my brothers were riding into hell without me. Couldn't miss that." Reaper's eyes found Marcus. "It's done, old friend. The war's over. You lost." "We both lost," Marcus said bitterly. "Look at us. Look at what we've become." "I know what I am. Question is, do you—" Reaper gestured to Kyle's body. "That your legacy, dead sons and burned bridges." Marcus stared at his boy, something breaking behind his eyes. "I just wanted them to pay," he whispered, "for what they took from us. They did pay. We all paid. The question is whether we keep paying forever or we end it here." Reaper moved closer, despite the pain it clearly caused. "You and me, we built something once. Before the anger, before the revenge. We were brothers, Marcus. Can you remember that?" Tears tracked down Marcus's face. "I remember." "Then honor it. Surrender. Face justice. Let your boy's death mean something instead of just being another body in a war nobody wins." Marcus looked at Liam, at Jake, clinging to him at the wreckage of everything he'd built. Finally, slowly, he raised his hands. "I surrender," he said. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Morrison had brought backup. Tank secured Marcus with zip ties, while Doc checked Kyle's pulse. The young man was alive, barely gasping on the floor. "Get him medical attention," Reaper ordered. "Now." They carried Kyle outside as the police arrived, lights washing everything in red and blue. Morrison jumped out, took in the scene, started barking orders. Liam sat on the curb with Jake, holding his brother close, both of them shaking. "You came," Jake whispered. "You said you would, and you did." "I'm sorry it took so long," Liam said. "Are the bad men gone?" "Yeah, they're gone." Tank dropped down beside them, exhausted. "Cops are going to want statements. This is going to be a long night." "What happens to us?" Liam asked. You go home with your brother. Back to Spokane. Back to his dad. Live your life." Tank's voice was rough. "The debt's paid, kid. You saved Reaper twice, fought beside us, proved yourself 10 times over. You're free." "What if I don't want to be free?" Tank looked at him. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I've got a family now, not just Jake, all of you, and I'm not walking away from that." Liam met his eyes. "When I turn 18 in 3 months, I want to prospect. I want to earn my patch. I want to be part of this for real." "You know what you're asking for." "I know exactly what I'm asking for, and I'm asking anyway." Tank smiled, tired but genuine. "Then we'll talk in 3 months. Until then, you take care of your brother. Be a kid for a little while longer. God knows you've earned it." Morrison approached. "Liam Bennett? Need to get your statement. Yours too, Jake." They spent the next 4 hours at the police station recounting everything. By the time they finished, dawn was breaking, and Jake had fallen asleep against Liam's shoulder. A man burst through the station doors, wild-eyed and frantic. Jake's father. "Jake! Oh God, Jake!" He scooped his son up, tears streaming. "I thought I'd lost you. I thought—" He looked at Liam. You're the one who saved him." "I'm his brother," Liam said simply. "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for keeping you away, for not letting you be part of his life. I was wrong." He shifted Jake in his arms. "Come home with us. Please. Jake needs his brother. And maybe I need you too." Liam felt something crack open in his chest, something that had been frozen for 3 years. "Yeah," he said. "Yeah, I'd like that." They left together as the sun climbed over the mountains, turning the snow gold. Tank and the club watched them go, a silent honor guard. Liam looked back once, saw Tank raise a hand in farewell. He raised his own in return. He'd found his family, both of them, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't alone anymore. 3 months felt like 3 years, and 3 minutes all at once. Liam stood in Jake's father's house in Spokane, staring at himself in the bathroom mirror, barely recognizing the person looking back. He'd put on 15 pounds of muscle. His face had filled out. The haunted look in his eyes had softened into something that might have been peace if he squinted hard enough. Jake knocked on the door. "Liam, Dad says breakfast is ready." "Coming." He'd been living with them since that night at Marcus's compound. Jake's father, Robert, had kept his word. Given Liam a room, enrolled him in school, treated him like a son instead of an obligation. It should have been everything Liam wanted. So why did he wake up every morning feeling like he was wearing someone else's skin? Breakfast was pancakes and bacon, Jake chattering about his baseball game later that week. Robert read the newspaper, occasionally making encouraging noises at his son's stories. It was normal, safe. Exactly what 3 years on the street had taught Liam to crave. "Liam," Robert said. "You're quiet this morning." "Just thinking." "About today?" Liam nodded. Today was his 18th birthday, the day he'd been counting toward since Tank had told him to come back when he was legal. "You don't have to go, you know," Robert said carefully. "You could stay here, finish high school, apply to colleges, have a real future." "I know. But you're going anyway." "I made a promise." Robert set down his paper. "To dangerous men who live dangerous lives. Liam, I've watched you these past 3 months. You've been happy here, haven't you?" "I have," Liam said honestly. "You've been good to me, better than I deserved. But there's something unfinished in Montana, something I need to see through. Your father died for those people. My father died protecting me from people who wanted us both dead. There's a difference." Liam pushed his pancakes around his plate. "And the club didn't ask him to sacrifice himself. He made that choice because it was right. The same choice I'm making now." Jake had gone quiet, fork halfway to his mouth. "You're leaving." "Not forever. Just going back to finish what I started." "But you just got here." Jake's voice cracked. "You said you wouldn't leave again." The words hit Liam like a physical blow. He'd promised Jake that in the car ride from Montana, both of them exhausted and traumatized. He'd meant it then. "I'm not leaving you," Liam said, moving to kneel beside Jake's chair. "I'm going to Montana to honor a debt to become part of something that saved my life. But I'm coming back. Every weekend if I can. Every holiday. Whenever you need me. You're my brother. That doesn't change." "You promise?" "I promise." But Jake threw his arms around Liam's neck, holding on like he was afraid to let go. Over his head, Robert's expression was resigned. "When do you leave?" Robert asked. "This afternoon. Tank's picking me up at 3. "Then we've got time for one last breakfast as a family." Robert managed a smile. "Let's make it count." Tank arrived exactly at 3, pulling up in a pickup truck instead of his bike. Liam's few belongings were already packed, everything he owned fitting into a single duffel bag. Jake helped carry it out, dragging his feet the whole way. "You sure about this?" Tank asked, watching Jake cling to Liam's side. "I'm sure. Once you start prospecting, it's a year minimum, maybe longer. You'll be doing grunt work, proving yourself, taking orders from everyone. It's not glamorous." "I didn't expect glamorous. I expected real." Tank's mouth twitched. "Yeah, you'll get real all right." He looked at Robert. "I'll take care of him. You have my word." "See that you do," Robert said. "He's been through enough." They loaded the truck. Liam hugged Jake one more time, whispered another promise in his ear. Then he climbed into the passenger seat, and Tank pulled away Jake's small figure, growing smaller in the mirror, until he disappeared. The drive to Montana was quiet. Tank didn't push conversation, and Liam was grateful. His mind was too full, cycling through every decision that had led him here, wondering if he was making a massive mistake. "You're thinking too loud," Tank said finally. "Just wondering if I'm crazy." "You are, but that's not necessarily a bad thing." Tank glanced at him. "Reaper asked me to give you this when you turned 18. He handed over an envelope. Liam opened it, found a single piece of paper with Reaper's handwriting. "Liam, if you're reading this, you came back. Part of me hoped you wouldn't. Hoped you'd take the easy road, the safe road, the one that doesn't end with you wondering if tonight's the night you don't come home. But I knew you would come back. Because you're your father's son. Because you understand what it means to choose family, even when it costs you everything. Welcome home. Reaper." Liam folded the letter carefully, tucked it in his pocket. "He's doing better," Liam asked. "Out of the hospital. Walking with a cane. Mean as ever." Tank smiled. He's been looking forward to seeing you again. We all have. They pulled into Bozeman as the sun started setting, painting the mountains orange and gold. The club had rebuilt in the 3 months since the fire, a new clubhouse on the edge of town bigger than the old one, with better security and a memorial wall for Razor. Bikes lined the parking lot. Liam counted at least 50, maybe more. "They're all here for you," Tank said. "Wanted to welcome you properly." Liam's throat tightened. "I don't deserve this. You pulled our president out of a ditch when you could have kept walking. You fought beside us when you could have run. You earned this." Tank killed the engine. "Now let's go see if you can keep earning it." The clubhouse was packed. Every member of the Montana chapter, plus some from neighboring states, all gathered in the main room. They parted as Liam entered, creating a path to the center where Reaper stood. The president looked older, thinner, but his eyes were as sharp as ever. He leaned on his cane, studying Liam like he was seeing him for the first time. "You came back," Reaper said. "I made a promise." "Promises are easy. Keeping them is hard." Reaper gestured to the room. "Everyone here has an opinion about you, Liam Bennett. Some think you're a liability. Others think you're a hero. Most think you're just a stupid kid who got lucky. Which one are you?" "I think you're someone who made a choice to stand when you could have run. And I think that's worth something." Reaper's voice carried through the room. "But wanting to be part of this club and earning it are different things. You understand that?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Because starting tomorrow you're a prospect. That means you do what you're told when you're told no questions. You clean bikes. You run errands. You prove you can be trusted with the small things before we trust you with the big ones. It's going to be hard. It's going to be humiliating. And there will be days you want to quit. I won't quit. We'll see." Reaper held out his hand. "Welcome home, prospect." Liam shook it, feeling the weight of 50 pairs of eyes on him. The room erupted in applause and shouts. Cole appeared, pulled Liam into a hug. Doc clapped him on the shoulder. Even some of the guys who'd been skeptical nodded approval. Tank handed him a leather vest, plain black, with no patches except a small prospect rocker on the back. "This is yours," Tank said. "For now. You earn your patches, you earn your place, then you get the rest. Could take a year, could take 5. That's up to you." Liam put on the vest. It felt right in a way nothing else had in months. The celebration went late into the night. Stories were told, drinks were poured, bonds were reinforced. Liam found himself in the center of it, listening more than talking, absorbing the history and hierarchy of the world he was entering. Around midnight, he stepped outside for air. The Montana cold hit him immediately, sharp and clean. He walked to the memorial wall, ran his fingers over Razor's name, etched in metal. "He'd have liked you," a voice said behind him. Liam turned. Doc stood there smoking a cigarette. "You think so? No so. Razor respected guts. You've got that in spades." Doc took a drag. "But I'm going to give you some advice, kid. Unsolicited, and probably unwanted." "I'm listening." "Don't try to be your father. David Bennett was a good man, a brave man, but he's not who you need to be. You're Liam. That's enough. Everyone keeps comparing me to him. That's because it's easier than seeing you for who you are. But if you spend your whole life trying to live up to a ghost, you'll never actually live." Doc flicked ash into the snow. "Your father saved Reaper once. You saved him again. The debt's paid. Everything you do from here on out, that's for you. Not him, not us. You, remember that." "What if I don't know who I am yet? Then you figure it out. That's what being 18 is for." Doc smiled. "But do it here with people who've got your back. That's better than doing it alone." The next morning, reality hit. Liam woke at 5 a.m. to someone pounding on his door. He stumbled out of bed, opened it to find a prospect coordinator named Axe, a grizzled guy in his 50s who looked like he ate nails for breakfast. "You've got 30 minutes to clean every bike in the lot," Axe said. "After that, you're on kitchen duty. After that, you're running parts to 3 different shops across town. Move." The day was brutal. Every bike had to be detailed to perfection. Chrome gleaming, no water spots, no dust. The kitchen was worse, scrubbing pots and pans from the previous night's party. The parts run turned into a 6-hour odyssey when one of the addresses was wrong, and Liam had to track down the right shop. By the time he collapsed into bed that night, every muscle screamed. The pattern repeated, day after day, week after week. Liam cleaned and cooked and ran errands. He was hazed, tested, pushed to his limits. Some members treated him with respect. Others treated him like dirt. He took it all without complaint. 2 months in, everything changed. Liam was cleaning bikes when Tank approached, his expression grim. "We've got a problem," Tank said. "Marcus escaped." Liam's blood went cold. "How?" "Prison transport. 3 men dead, Marcus gone. Happened this morning." Tank handed him a phone. "He sent this 20 minutes ago, and the message was simple. Tell the Bennett kid I'm coming. Tell him he took my son, now I take his brother." Liam's hands started shaking. "Jake, he's going after Jake. Already sent 2 guys to Spokane. They'll keep him safe." Tank gripped his shoulder. "But Marcus knows we'll protect your brother, which means he's going to come for you directly. He's got nothing left to lose." "Then let him come." "Liam, I'm serious. Set a trap. Use me as bait. End this once and for all." Tank studied him. "That's not a prospect decision. That's a brother decision. You're not a brother yet. Then make me one. Give me my patch early. Let me stand with you as an equal when Marcus comes." "It doesn't work that way." "Then change how it works." Liam's voice rose. "I'm tired of being protected. I'm tired of other people fighting my battles. Marcus wants me fine, but I'm not hiding while good people die for me. Not again." Tank was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone, made a call. "Reaper, we need to talk, now." Emergency church was called. Full patch members only, which meant Liam had to wait outside while they voted. He paced the hallway for an hour, imagining every scenario, most of them ending badly. Finally, the doors opened. Reaper emerged, leaning on his cane. "Come with me," he said. They went to his office, a small room with photos of the club's history covering every wall. Reaper sat down heavily, gestured for Liam to do the same. "The vote was split," Reaper said. "Half the club thinks you're ready for your patch, half thinks you need more time. So I'm making the call, and here it is." He pulled something from his desk drawer, a leather cut, full colors. Hellsangels, Montana. And in the center, a name patch, Liam Bennett. "You earned this tonight," Reaper said. "We set the trap. We use you as bait. And if you survive, if you prove you can stand with us when everything goes to hell, then you're a full member. But if you hesitate, if you run, if you show 1 second of doubt, then you go back to prospect status, and we do this the traditional way. Understand?" "I understand." "Good. Because Marcus Vega is the most dangerous man I've ever known. He's got nothing left except revenge. That makes him unpredictable. Deadly." Reaper leaned forward. "Your father died fighting men like him. Are you ready to do the same?" Liam thought about David Bennett, a man he'd never met but who'd shaped every part of his life. He thought about the choice his father had made in that warehouse 15 years ago to drop his cover and save people who needed him. "My father died protecting his family," Liam said quietly. "So will I, if that's what it takes. But I'm not planning on dying. I'm planning on ending this so Jake never has to look over his shoulder again." Reaper smiled. "Then let's go to work." The trap was simple. Leak Liam's location to a known Marcus associate, someone who'd turn informant for the right price. Make it look accidental, like a slip of the tongue. Then wait. They chose an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, rigged it with cameras and lights, positioned 30 Hell's Angels in hidden spots around the perimeter. Liam stood in the center of the empty space, wearing the prospect vest, carrying a gun he hoped he wouldn't need. "He'll come tonight," Tank said through the earpiece. "Probably around 2 a.m. That's his style. Wants you tired, scared off your game. I'm already all of those things." "Good. Use it. Fear keeps you sharp." Tank's voice softened. "You don't have to do this, you know. We can handle Marcus without risking you." "No, you can't. He'll keep coming until one of us is dead. Might as well be on our terms." The wait was agony. Hours crawling by, every shadow, a potential threat. Every sound making Liam's finger twitch toward the trigger. Around midnight, snow started falling soft and silent through the broken warehouse windows. At 2:17 a.m., Marcus arrived. He came alone, walking through the main entrance like he owned the place. No weapons, visible hands loose at his sides. He looked older, more worn, like prison had aged him decades. "Liam Bennett," Marcus said, his voice echoing in the empty space. "I was hoping you'd be stupid enough to show up." "I'm here. Now what? Now we finish what should have ended 15 years ago." Marcus stopped 20 feet away. "Your father destroyed my family, killed my brother, ruined every plan we had. And then you killed my son, my only child, the only good thing I had left in this world. Your son tried to kill a 9-year-old boy. My brother. Your brother was leverage. I never would have hurt him. You kidnapped him, beat him, terrorized him. That's not leverage, that's evil." "Evil?" Marcus laughed, bitter and broken. "You think I'm evil, kid? I'm just a man who lost everything and wanted someone to pay. Your father took my family. I took his life. Fair trade. Except you didn't stop there. You came after me, burned down the clubhouse, killed Razor. How many more people have to die before you're satisfied? As many as it takes." Marcus's hand moved toward his jacket. "Don't," Tank's voice barked through the earpiece. "He's reaching for a weapon. Liam, step back." But Liam didn't step back. He stepped forward. "Stop," he said. "Just stop, Marcus. Look at us. Look at what we've become. My father's dead. Your son's dead. Razor's dead. How many more bodies before you realize revenge doesn't fix anything?" "One more," Marcus said, pulling a knife. "Yours." He lunged. Liam's training kicked in. He sidestepped, grabbed Marcus's wrist, twisted. The knife clattered away. They grappled, crashing into concrete pillars, trading blows that echoed through the warehouse. Marcus was bigger, stronger, more experienced. But Liam was younger, faster, fueled by something Marcus had lost years ago. Hope. They separated, both breathing hard. Blood trickled from Liam's split eyebrow. Marcus's lip was bleeding. "I don't want to kill you," Liam said. "Then you'll die instead." Marcus charged again. This time Liam didn't try to fight. He dropped to one knee, grabbed the knife from the floor, held it up. Marcus ran straight onto it. The sound he made was terrible. A strangled gasp that echoed louder than any gunshot. He staggered back, looked down at the blade buried in his stomach, then at Liam. "Your father," Marcus wheezed. "He said the same thing, right before he shot my brother. Said he didn't want to kill him." "I mean it," Liam said, his hands shaking. "I really don't want this. But you'll do it anyway, because that's what it means to protect your family." Marcus slid down the wall, leaving a blood trail. "You're more like David Bennett than you know." Tank and the others poured into the warehouse. Doc went to Marcus, checking the wound, already on the phone for an ambulance. "He's bad," Doc said. "Real bad." "Save him," Liam said. "Please, I don't want another death on my conscience." They tried. The ambulance came rushed Marcus to surgery. He died on the operating table at 4:23 a.m., the knife wound having nicked his femoral artery. Internal bleeding too severe to stop. Liam sat outside the hospital, covered in Marcus's blood, staring at nothing. Reaper found him there at dawn. "It's over," Reaper said, lowering himself onto the bench with a wince. "Marcus is dead. Jackson's in prison. The war's finished. I killed him. You defended yourself. There's a difference. Is there?" Liam looked at his hands. "Because it doesn't feel different. It feels like I took a man's life, and now I have to live with that forever." "Yes, you do." Reaper's voice was matter-of-fact. "That's the cost of this life, Liam. Sometimes you have to do terrible things to protect the people you love. Your father understood that. Now you do too. I don't want to be a killer. You're not. You're a protector who had to make an impossible choice." Reaper pulled out the hellsangels cut from earlier, held it out. "The question is whether you can live with that choice and still stand with us. Whether you can carry this weight and not let it crush you." Liam stared at the cut at the patches that represented brotherhood and loyalty, and a lifetime of choices, just like the one he'd made tonight. He thought about Jake, safe in Spokane, because Liam had stood his ground. He thought about Tank and Cole and Doc and Reaper, all of them willing to die for each other without hesitation. He thought about his father, who'd made the same impossible choice 15 years ago and paid for it with his life. "I can carry it," Liam said, "if I don't have to carry it alone." "You never have to carry anything alone. That's what brotherhood means." Reaper pressed the cut into his hands. "Welcome home, brother. For real this time." 6 months later, Liam rode into Spokane on his own bike, a restored Harley that Reaper had helped him rebuild. He pulled up to Robert's house just as Jake was getting home from school. His brother's face lit up when he saw the bike, saw the full patch on Liam's back. "You got it!" Jake shouted, running over. "You're a real member now." "Yeah, I am." Liam pulled off his helmet, ruffled Jake's hair. "And I promised I'd come visit. So here I am." Robert came out, took in the patches, the bike, the confident way Liam carried himself now. "You look good," Robert said. "Happy?" "I am. Finally." Liam hugged his brother close. "And I'm keeping my promise. Every weekend I can. Every holiday. I'm not disappearing again." "We know," Jake said. "Because you're not alone anymore. You've got your family." "Both of them," Liam agreed. That night after dinner and stories, and Jake falling asleep on the couch mid-movie, Liam stood in the backyard under the stars. His phone buzzed. A text from Tank. "Church tomorrow night. Don't be late." He smiled, typed back. Wouldn't miss it. And another text, this one from Reaper. "Your father would be proud, kid. Hell, I'm proud. Ride safe coming home." Liam looked up at the stars, imagining somewhere up there David Bennett was watching. He hoped his father saw what he'd built, the family he'd found, the man he was becoming. "I'm not you," Liam said to the night. "But I'm doing my best to honor what you started, to protect the people who matter, to stand up when it's easier to walk away." The stars didn't answer, but the wind felt like a hand on his shoulder. Approving, proud. Tomorrow he'd ride back to Montana, to the clubhouse, and the brothers, and the life he'd chosen. He'd take orders from tank work on bikes with Cole, listen to Doc's stories, and maybe if he was lucky, learn to live with the weight of everything that had brought him here. But tonight he was here with Jake, with Robert, with the family he'd almost lost and found again. He wasn't a homeless kid walking frozen highways anymore. He wasn't a liability, or a burden, or a mistake. He was Liam Bennett, son of a hero brother to the Hells Angels, Montana, and protector of everyone who couldn't protect themselves. And for the first time in his 18 years, he knew exactly where he belonged, riding between two families, carrying the weight of impossible choices, standing tall when everything said to fall. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything.